Today we are going to cook with leftovers from Thanksgiving, and we're going to start with sweet potatoes and ham, and then we'll move on to turkey and gravy, and last but not least, pumpkin pie filling. And look how much ham we have left. We don't need nearly that much. I'll be chopping that up in small pieces. We're going to use all of these sweet potatoes though. These were roasted in the oven and they're already cooked. And they're already lightly seasoned. I used olive oil, salt, and pepper when I roasted them. We've got some Swiss cheese that's left over. We can grate this up along with some onion that we're going to saute ahead of time to add really good flavor to this dish. We are making cheesy sweet potato and ham casserole. We have our cheese grated, our onion chopped. Need to chop up a thick slice of ham and slice the sweet potatoes. All right, we'll start with the sweet potatoes. We're just going to slice them in pieces like this. Yeah. Like I said, these are already roasted. It's just a matter of putting all the ingredients together. We will, of course, be sauteing the onion ahead of time with a flour base. It's a really good ham. It came from Aldi. Not bad at all. I'm going to cut small pieces, yeah. So by the time you put the cheese, the sweet potatoes, and the base, which is a flour base of butter and milk. By the time you put that together, you have a casserole you can layer. You don't need a whole lot of meat. You can save money and hold on to some of that ham, even freeze some for Christmas. That's what we're going to do. We have the main components of our meal prepped ahead. We just need to gather the spices together. Now I'm going light on the cheese. The recipe I referred to you, I'm basing it on that recipe. I'm cutting back on quite a bit of the ingredients, however, such as cheese and ham, which is a way of saving money and decreasing fat and calories. We are using milk, basil, mustard, it's dried mustard, a little flour, salt, and pepper. And we're using butter to saute our onions and create our roux. This will add quite a bit of flavor to the roux. Next, I'll add the flour and the spices and some milk all at once. Start doing our whisking. As we get everything whisked together, we'll turn up the heat and the sauce will begin to thicken. Add some cheese and start whisking away. But we have a nice consistency going on. The ham's added, and we'll start layering the casserole dish. In a sprayed baking dish, I added half of the mix. Now we're going to layer these potatoes on top. One layer. So we're just going to use half of them. Now we're going to put the rest of the mix on top of this and layer the rest of the potatoes. We're going to put this in the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. And we'll be adding our shredded cheese the last 3 to 4 minutes of baking. So all together the casserole will bake for about 29 to 30 minutes, which is very typical for a casserole where the ingredients are already cooked. And you're just putting them together more or less to combine the flavors and then melt the cheese. All right, I pulled out the casserole and I'm going to add the cheese on top. Bake for 3 to 4 minutes until cheese is melted. And here's what the dish looks like, fully baked. It is an unusual looking entree, I'll say that. It's very colorful. It almost looks like a dessert. Well, that's because we have sweet potatoes and they're so bright orange. Let's give this a taste test. Make sure I get a little piece of ham along with the sweet potato. It tastes like a ham and potato dish with cream sauce. That's exactly what it tastes like. If I had put any more cheese, it would have been too much. And I used not even half of what the recipe called for. It's really very tasty and rich. Sweet potatoes by themselves it's a very rich potato. So we have a lot of flavors going on. This is delicious. The Swiss cheese definitely was the best choice for this dish. Now we are working with leftover turkey loin. This is rotisserie flavored turkey from Aldi, and it was absolutely delicious. I was really impressed with this. It was already marinated in the package. You just put it in the oven for like 50 to 55 minutes. It was super easy to make and super delicious also. So the turkey was my favorite between the turkey and the ham. The ham was my husband's favorite. So we kind of had a ham versus turkey thing going on. But we also have gravy that we need to use up. And I'm going to build onto this gravy because I'm going to need more than this. So I'm just going to use it as a base and then add milk to it and cornstarch slurry as needed. We will build flavor and nutrition within the gravy that we're going to create. So we're going to start with, of course, the veggies, the trinity: celery, carrots, and onion. Now we have our vegetables, spices measured out. The recipe that I'm going to refer to you recommends better than bouillon, roasted garlic base. So if you have that available to you, please use it according to the recipe. I'm just using minced garlic. You can use butter. I'm going to use avocado oil. I'm not going to add the garlic yet. And of course the spices will be added later too, along with the garlic. And we'll saute this about 5 minutes. All right, the vegetables are mostly cooked. We'll have more time to cook them when we add the gravy. So we add the spices and the garlic and mix that around. And we have our gravy. And I'm going to add some water also. And turning up the heat to get this to a soft boil. The turkey can be put in along with the gravy. I'm just going to add it later after the mix has cooked for a few minutes. And I'm only using half of what it calls for to cut back on the meat so we can use some turkey for turkey noodle soup because my husband loves turkey noodle soup. I went ahead and added the turkey to the soup mix. Add some milk. And if this is not thick enough, I will make a cornstarch slurry. It is a little thin, as you can see, so I'm going to add a cornstarch slurry that I made. And give this a good stir. Normally I use a whisk, but I think we'll be okay with just a good hard stir here. The soup is plenty thick enough. I turned off the heat. I'm going to give this a taste test to see if it needs any salt or pepper. And it does need a little bit of salt. And it's according to your taste what you like to add. I have a prepared dish here that I sprayed. Just going to add my cream of turkey soup. And look at that. I'll give you a close-up. Doesn't that look delicious just by itself? Oh my goodness. And we're going to put a biscuit topping over this. One thing I noticed during the taste test, I felt like you need to add a little something acidic to soup, even if it is a cream soup. So I'm going to add a little bit of, the recipe didn't call for this, but I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice and stir that around to the mix. Okay, I'm glad I thought to do this. This will make it so much more delicious, in my opinion. But it is a matter of personal taste, of course. Now we're working on the biscuit topping, so we're going to mix together some flour, baking powder, and salt, and whisk that together there with this little cute little adorable whisk. This is super easy, very easy, this biscuit recipe. And then cut in some butter or margarine. All right, since this is going to be poured over in large spoonfuls over the soup mix, We do not have to break up the butter into little pieces. Just add the milk. This is super easy because it's a cobbler. Cobblers are easier than making biscuits. Just mix that up really well with the flour. And we're ready to scoop out our biscuit mix. All right. Just with a large spoon. The recipe calls for an Italian spice mix in a preheated oven at 375 Fahrenheit, bake for 25 minutes. The turkey cobbler is done and it's looking good. Turned out better than I even expected. Beautiful color. That topping is what gave it the beautiful color. The Italian spice topping. Now we're going to talk about the pumpkin pie I made from a little pumpkin that I grew, and I called that pumpkin Newbie. It was in some shorts that I did. It was they were little fun videos. He started to go bad prematurely, and I had to roast him and puree him. So with the puree, I made a pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving. Now, I promised my husband I would not film on Thanksgiving nor the day after. But I will show you what's left of the pie. And it turned out very well. It was very fresh tasting, probably because this was a very young pumpkin. And oddly enough, it's not a sugar pie, not a sugar pumpkin. This pumpkin was a jack-o'-lantern, a very small jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. And it's not overly sweet. I added a lot of spices to it. Oh, it was so delicious. The only difference I could tell was that it had more liquid. I had to cook the puree again to thicken it before I put it into the pie shell. So I had leftover pumpkin pie filling, and that's what we're going to use in this next recipe, which is pumpkin cheesecake. This recipe is as easy as you can possibly get for a cheesecake. All right, I'm only making half a cheesecake, believe it or not. I'm going to use a smaller pie pan. I've got some softened cream cheese here, only half a package. I'm going to add an egg to that, and we are going to blend it together. Beat up the egg. You can use your mixer for this. I'm going to go ahead and use this device here. This is pre-sweetened because this is leftover pumpkin puree, and I added the spices and the sugar. So add that, mix that together. I have a pre-sprayed pie pan. I'm just going to throw this in there. And it's a crustless. It appears to be crustless, but we're going to have a topping of graham cracker crumbs. So it will have a crust on top. And here is our little pumpkin cheesecake. And I just put the graham cracker crumbs to the side. At first I had it over the whole pie. Then I put them to the side. I think this looks beautiful. You look closely, you can see some pieces of pumpkin and pieces of cream cheese. If you like, you can melt some butter so that the graham cracker crumbs adhere better to the pie around the sides there. Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please come back. Vlogmas, December Vlogmas starts tomorrow. God bless each and every one of you. I'll see you on the next one.